Okay, this is section 3.2, the second half of adding integers, and I wanted to do a couple more of these. So we learned from the last video that if they're both positive, just add them. It's regular addition. If you have a positive and a negative, you can draw them out like I did here. This is 15 positives and 9 negatives underneath. And what did we say when we have a positive and a negative together? It just cancels out to 0. So I'm just canceling these out. And what do I have left? I've got 6 positives. So my answer is just 6. That was one way we learned how to do it. Another way, we learned to subtract. So I'm going to take 15 minus 9. And 15 minus 9, I'm going to borrow, is 6. So I'm going to subtract. And then who has more? Does 15 have more positives, or does 9 have more negatives? Well, 15 has more positives, so my answer is positive 6, which is what I got here and what I got here. So if you're looking in the book, they draw it out this way. This is just a way I know students like to do it. They like to subtract and take the sign of who's got more. If you want to do it that way, you can do that way. Let's do a triple, because you might see one of these on your homework. Yeah. So I've got 5 plus negative 8 plus 4. So what I like to do is I like to put all the positives together. Got 2 I'm going to put together, and I'm just going to add them together. They're both positive, so I'm going to take 5 and add 4. Both positives, just add them regular. And 5 and 4 is 9. And then I'm going to bring down the negative 8. You can draw this out, or we can subtract. Either way you want to go. We can draw out 9 positives and 8 negatives and cancel out the ones that are the same and see what's left over, like we did up here. Or we can do the subtraction, method 2, and we can subtract 9 minus 8, and 9 minus 8 is 1. And what is the sign going to be? Who's got more? Do we have more positives with the 9 or more negatives with the negative 8? So we have more positives, we have more positives. So this answer is good as it is. And so 1, positive 1, is my answer. Okay, so we've done when we've had both positives. We've done when we've had a positive and a negative. We've done a couple of those. What if we have when we're adding 2 negatives? What's going to happen then? So this is 3 adding two negative numbers. So let's say I have and again, you don't need the parentheses, that's just how they show it in the book and on the homework. If you want to take the parentheses out around the negatives, you can. So this is just like when we have two positives and we're adding them. If we have two negatives, we're just going to add them together and bring the sign over. Okay, so -5 and -7, if I were just going to add those, it'd give me 12, but it's a -12. I've got 5 negatives and 7 negatives. So I'm going to add these up all together. I'm going to put these all together, and I'm going to get a -12. So if there are two negatives that I'm adding together, here's a way to draw them out. I've got 5 negatives, I've got 7 negatives. Add them all up and you will get 12 negatives. Let's see another example from the book. If I had a -35, I'm not going to put the parentheses in, and a -47. Okay, let's say I have a -35 and I'm adding that to a -47. Okay, so whenever I am adding two negative numbers like I am here, I'm just going to add them together and bring the sign over. So I'm going to add them together. Okay, and let's see, I've got 5 and 7, which is 12. I'm going to carry the 1. And 1 and 3, 4 and 4 is 8. I'm going to bring down the sign. So my answer is -82. So we just add down and bring the sign down. Okay. Now they also, in this second half of this section, they want you to evaluate. And we did that in 3-1. So let's evaluate A plus B when A is -9 and B is -5. Okay, so evaluate means just to plug in, right? So we're just going to plug in A is -9, so we're going to take away the A and pop in a -9. And like I said, you don't have to put in the parentheses if you don't want to. You can if you want. Do whatever works best for you. And then the B is -5. So I'm going to put a -5 in for the B. So this is the A, this is the B. I'm adding them together. You can draw them out if you want to draw -9 chips and -5 chips. Or you can add the 9 and the 5 together and bring the negative over. So -9 and -5 is negative 14. Because when they're both negative, we just add them together and bring the sign over. Okay. Good so far? Let's do some more evaluating. And I'm getting these examples from the homework. Okay. So more evaluating. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. So we want to evaluate a plus d. We want to plug in a is negative 9. So negative 9 is going in here for a, and positive 3 is going in for d. Evaluate just means to plug in, right? So evaluate, we're just plugging in and working it out and seeing what we get. So I'm going to rewrite this as negative 9 plus 3. Okay, so I've got a negative number and a positive number. Look back at your notes, and this was rule 2, and you can always draw this out if you want, or the other way could be to subtract, right? So we're going to take 9 minus 3. This was method 2 I went over last video. So 9 minus 3 is 6. And remember, what sign is going to go with this? Right? So I'm looking and I have a negative 9 and I have a positive 3. So who's got more, the negatives or the positives? So the negatives have more. There's more negatives with the 9. So my answer is negative 6. Okay. Let's try another evaluate. A plus B, that whole thing squared, when A is negative 8 and B is positive 9. Okay, so this is again method 2 because I've got a positive and a negative. Let me write this out. I've got a negative 8 and a 9. I'm just plugging A in here and B in here and putting them in parentheses, and I'm squaring them. Okay, so according to PEMDAS, or order of operations, we're going to do parentheses first. Oops, sorry about that. So I'm going to do this part first, right, according to PEMDAS, which we learned in chapter 1, and then I'm going to square it second. So I've got a negative 8 and a positive 9. You can draw those out and make 9 positive circles and 8 negatives and cancel out and see what you get. Or we could subtract. Again, it's method 2. And of course I need to bring my calculator in to check it. So method 2, I'm going to subtract. So I'm going to put the bigger number on top. And what's 9 minus 8? Is just 1. Okay, what sign is going to go with this? Who's got more? The negative 8 or the positive 9? Positive 9 has more, so our final answer is 1. And we're going to bring this square down, and we learn what this means. This means 1, positive 1 times positive 1. So 1 times 1 is 1. So this is my answer. Okay, how is that? Let me do the homework on this second one for you. I'm sorry, let me do the calculator for this one. Okay, so again, let's see. Bring it up a little bit. And I'm going to put in parentheses. The parentheses are above the 8 and the 9. So I'm going to put negative is below the 3. I'm going to put negative 8 plus, and B was 9. 9. And I'm going to put that in above the 9 is the second parenthesis. So that's what I have so far. Let me make this better. Sorry about this. Okay. So I just put parentheses, negative 8, negative is under the 3. And the B was 9, so plus 9. Close the parenthesis. I'm going to hit enter. And we did get 1. But then I need to square that. So the squared button on here is over here next door to the 7. So I'm going to square that 1. It says answer squared, which means 1 squared. And I'm going to hit, and I'm going to get 1. And that's the answer. That's the check on the calculator. So try the homework. You can try 3-1 and 3-2 now, and let me know how it goes.